Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to pull out the really vital insights from, well, usually one powerful source, just for you. And today, our mission, really, is to try and cut through what feels like relentless complexity in modern life. We're using Julia Hobsbawm's fantastic book, The Simplicity Principle. Its core idea, it's powerful, almost ancient, really. Keep it simple. Learn from nature. And, you say keep it simple. That phrase, KISS, just pops into your head, doesn't it? It's almost a cliche now, but its origin is actually fascinating. Very practical. Started way back, 1930s, Lockheed Skunk Works, aerospace engineer Clarence Kelly Johnson. He knew, especially for pilots in, life or death situations, design had to be dead simple, literally life-saving, no fuss.
Absolutely. No room for error there.
Exactly. But then you have the poet Maya Angelou. She had this wonderful, elegant tweak to keep it simple, stupid. She preferred keep it simple, sweetie. And honestly, that just feels warmer. Captures the spirit better, I think.
It really does. And, the fact we're still talking about this principle decades later, it just shows how much we need it. Because despite all the amazing tech we have, life today often feels, well, anything but simple. Hobsbawm calls it killer complexity. And it leads to this widespread feeling of frustration, overload, frankly, just exhaustion for so many of us.
You really feel it, don't you? That sense of being just swamped, trying to keep too many plates spinning. The book makes a great point. Complexity isn't actually new. Think Charles Dickens, 19th century Britain, bound hand and foot in red tape.
Right, bureaucracy isn't new.
Not at all. But today's complexity, it's different. It's often invisible and yet drains time, energy, and focus. Before the internet, things might have been complicated, sure, but they were usually tangible things you could sort of point to. Now, it's this constant unseen pressure, harder to grasp, harder to fight back against.
And what's fascinating here is that Hobsbawm actually gives this modern feeling a name, the cat syndrome. Complexity, anxiety, and too little time. It captures that sense of battling an invisible enemy,
Cat syndrome. That rings true.
And it makes perfect sense because our brains, amazing as they are, have limits. Our working memory, the bit that jubbles new information, typically handles only, between 4 and 7 items at any one time?
4 to 7. That's it.
Pretty much. Now think about applying that limit to our digital lives, where we're hit with hundreds, maybe thousands of inputs daily. We've blown past our natural capacity.
It's a real wake-up call. I mean, think about the everyday stuff that just grinds you down, those endless windows within windows on your computer, trying to find the right charger. Yeah. Or how a task you think will take 10 minutes online suddenly eats up an hour.
Yes. Infuriating.
But it's bigger than just personal frustration, isn't it? It's systemic. Think about major power outages hitting big cities, or even the way simple political slogans resonate. Things like take back control or make America great again, whatever your politics. They cut through this massive, torturous complexity because they offer something clear in a confusing world.
And that raises a really important distinction the book makes, the difference between something being complex and just complicated.
Okay, tell me more about that.
Well, think of a machine like a watch. It can be incredibly complicated, lots of intricate parts, but ultimately you can take it apart, understand how it works, put it back together.
Right. It's knowable.
Exactly. But a weather system or a human being, that's truly complex. There are so many interconnected variables, feedback loops, things you can't easily predict or control.
Ah, I see, like interacting systems.
Precisely. And this distinction, it's critical. We've seen tragic results when it's ignored. Take the Boeing 737 MX crashes in 2018 and 2019. It wasn't just one single flaw. Hobsbawm describes it as a terrible complexity around both humans and technology. You had this new automated system, pilots maybe not fully trained on it, interacting in unexpected ways. When that basic KISS principle gets overlooked in complex systems, the consequences can be catastrophic.
Wow, that really puts it into perspective. So it makes you wonder, how much is this killer complexity really affecting your life right now? Maybe ask yourself this. Do you feel kind of tangled up, mangled by just too much to do? Do you find yourself having to navigate layer upon layer of people just to get a simple task done? If that sounds familiar, well, you're definitely not alone. And that's exactly where the simplicity principle steps in to offer a way forward.
Yes, this is where the core principle, keep it simple, learn from nature, really comes into play. And to make it practical, Hobsbawm introduces what she calls hexagon action. It's a six-sided framework. It uses the geometry, the sort of natural efficiency and strength of the number six to help us systematically cut through complexity.
Hexagon action. Why 6 specifically?
Well, it's not just random. Six is fascinating. Ancient Greek mathematicians like Euclid called it the first and smallest perfect number. It's incredibly versatile and strong, divides neatly in half and into thirds. And crucially, it falls right within that sweet spot of our working memory limits, that 4 to 7 item range we talked about. Plus, you see six everywhere, from nature and science, Martin Rees's just six numbers governing the universe to culture, like A. A. Milne's Now We Are Six.
Right, it's a manageable number.
Exactly. And if we're learning from nature, Hobsbawm points to the honeybee as simplicity's, well, poster species.
The honeybee. Interesting.
Think about their honeycomb. It's a marvel of natural engineering. They start building with circular wax cells. But as the wax sets, surface tension and heat pull it into that perfect hexagonal shape. It's the most efficient way to use space and material, incredibly strong.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And bees are super social. They communicate complex stuff with their waggle dance. They're constantly adapting, reskilling. They really offer this beautiful natural model for how we might navigate our own modern challenges, like infobesity and maintaining social health in this hyper-connected world.
That's a fantastic analogy. The honeybee as our guide. I like that. Okay, so let's dive into the first side of this hexagon action, clarity. The core idea here is being crystal clear brings you simplicity. Makes sense. Because the opposite, muddle confusion that just leads to delay, miscommunication, distrust, clarity is the essential first step.
Absolutely. And one of the biggest roadblocks to clarity, indecision, as Seth Godin puts it quite bluntly. You don't need more time, you just need to decide.
Easier said than done sometimes.
True. But think about the famous tyranny of choice study with the jam. Remember that. A table with 24 different jams. Only 3% of people actually bought one. But when they offered just 6 choices, purchases jumped to 30%. Less choice led to more action, more clarity.
Fewer options, easier decision.
Exactly. Even leaders like Barack Obama famously limited his choices for things like suits and shirts. Why? To avoid decision fatigue. Save that mental energy for the big stuff. The book suggests a really practical tip, the 6-minute rule. Just sit with a decision for 6 minutes, really focus on it, then make the call. It's about committing.
6 minutes? Okay, I could try that. And once we've decided, clarity really hinges on our attention, doesn't it? Our brains are, as the book says, wired for distraction, constantly seeking novelty.
They really are.
Which is why things like infinite scroll on social media are so effective and so draining. They make excessive demands on our attention. And it's not just about losing focus. It means we can completely misread situations. Remember that line from the movie The Big Short about the 2008 financial crisis?
Vaguely.
One character sees the disaster coming and says something like, no one is paying attention. It's like 2 + 2 = fish. What? That's what happens when we're distracted. We miss the obvious. It drains us, stresses us out, and just adds more complexity.
And counteracting that distraction often comes down to having a clear purpose. The book defines it simply as the reason for which something is done or created. It's that why, the thing that gets us up in the morning. Exactly. A clear purpose keeps you steady when everything else feels chaotic. Consider Maggie O'Kane's campaign to end FGM. Huge, complex problem, right? But their strategy is beautifully simple and clear. Train less than 6 influential leaders at a time, radio presenters, religious figures to broadcast anti-FGM messages within their communities.
Wow, just 6 at a time.
Yes. That focused, clear purpose executed with simple, targeted action creates massive ripples against a deeply entrenched, complex issue. It shows how clarity of purpose, even in small steps, can cut through overwhelming problems.
That's incredibly powerful. Okay, let's move to the second side of the hexagon, individuality.
Yeah.
The axiom here is humans should take priority over machines. I like the sound of that. This seems to be about navigating our digital world while staying, well, human. Staying true to ourselves.
Precisely. And a major challenge here is managing our digital self. The sheer complexity of our online identities is, well, it's a lot. The average person apparently has over 7 different social media accounts. That's already pushing those cognitive limits we talked about.
7.
And we check our phones up to 80 times a day. This constant digital performance doesn't just blur the lines between who we really are and our online persona. The book warns it can actually rob ourselves of who we really are, leading to this feeling of fragmentation, of not quite knowing where the real you begins and ends.
That's quite confronting.
Well,
Which leads nicely into the idea of neurodiversity, right? Embracing our differences.
right.
It's about, as the book puts it, recognizing the talent within all of us, not trying to fit everyone into the same box.
Exactly.
And there are some really inspiring stories in the book, like John Cronin, a young man with Down syndrome. He co-founded John's Crazy Socks, a multi-million-dollar business, and he's the chief happiness officer. How great is that?
Fantastic.
Or the venture capitalist Brian Jacobs, who specifically invests in businesses that employ people with autism, recognizing their unique skills. And Greta Thunberg calling her Asperger's a gift.
Oh.
These aren't just nice stories. They show how embracing different ways of thinking actually simplifies problem solving by bringing in fresh, unique perspectives.
It broadens the toolkit, essentially. And that ties into the final part of individuality, integrity. You know, a lack of honesty creates huge complexity. The original meaning of a tissue of lies actually referred to complex, interlaced weaving. It's tangled.
Ah, interesting origin.
Yeah. But generally, people prefer simplicity and truth. Think about those simple happy or not feedback buttons you see in airports. People like being able to give straightforward feedback.
True.
So how do we maintain integrity in complex situations? The book offers the 3 C's, calling it out, compassion, and compromise. And the example used is Captain Chesley Sullenberger, Sully, landing that plane on the Hudson River.
The miracle on the Hudson.
Exactly. In that incredibly tense 6-minute ordeal, he did all 3. He called out the flawed computer simulations suggesting he could make it back to an airport. He showed immense compassion by staying calm, reassuring passengers and crew, and he compromised by making the incredibly difficult decision to land on the water. His unwavering human integrity, that simple, decisive action, cut through an impossibly complex life-or-death situation and saved everyone.
An amazing example of clarity and integrity under pressure. Okay, that brings us to the third side of the hexagon. Reset. The axiom. The always-on mind needs rest. Oh boy, do I feel this one. This isn't just about getting enough sleep, is it? It's about actively powering down in a world that seems to glorify constant busyness.
Absolutely. We're constantly connected, aren't we? Shackled to constant connectivity, as the book puts it. And this whole hustle culture, the gig economy, it creates this immense pressure to always be on. So finding healthy ways to release that pressure is vital, but it needs to be positive release, not the kind of opioid oblivion depicted in Ottessa Moshfegh's novel My Year of Rest and Relaxation, but deliberate, healthy ways of disconnecting and recharging.
Right, conscious disconnection, which connects the idea of mindlessness. That sounds intriguing. It's not mindfulness. The book actually challenges the focus on mindfulness, suggesting its opposite.
Sort of. It's proposing mindlessness as intentionally creating mental space without feeling like you're missing out or need to fill it immediately. Our brains have this default mode network. It's active when we're not focused on a specific task, often doing unconscious thinking, worrying.
The background chatter.
Exactly. And that can contribute to stress. Mindlessness is about giving your brain deliberate cognitive rest, letting it decompress, reorganize without constant conscious input. It's about emptying, not just filling.
Letting the mental dust settle. I like that. And one of the best ways to reset seems to be nature. You just have to think of Julie Andrews and The Sound of Music, arms wide open on the mountainside, pure freedom, pure escape.
Yes, the ultimate reset image. And science backs it up completely. Study after study shows that walking in forests reduces stress. Another found that just 20 minutes walking in nature reduces stress more than 20 minutes walking in a city.
Just 20 minutes makes the difference.
It does. Even simple things, like you mentioned your cold water swims, those moments in nature provide clarity, they reset the nervous system. Nature has this inherent simplicity that rebalances us.
It really does feel fundamental. Okay, let's turn to the fourth side of the hexagon. Knowledge. The axiom here is pretty stark. Escaping from infobesity must come first. Infobesity? That's a great term for the feeling of being overwhelmed by information, isn't it? Like the mental equivalent of eating too much junk food.
Exactly. It makes it impossible to digest anything properly, impossible to know what's truly nourishing or important. And a critical first step in dealing with infobesity is understanding trust. Who and what do we trust online? It's a massive challenge. Remember that early deepfake, the picture of giant camel spiders supposedly from the first Gulf War? Totally manipulated, but it went viral as fact.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Or, on a much more serious scale, the OneCoin cryptocurrency scam. Dr. Rusha Ignatova, the missing crypto queen, conned billions from people globally. Why? partly due to willful blindness, but also social proof. People trusted it because other people seemed to trust it, even with huge red flags waving.
Scary stuff.
It is. So we constantly need to ask ourselves, why am I trusting this information? What's the source? What's the agenda? It's such a contrast to simple, practical, proven knowledge like the invention of the stirrup on a horse, a basic technology that undeniably worked and, as the book says, accelerated civilization. You could trust it because you could see it work.
That difference between shaky claims and proven function. Which leads us beyond just facts to wisdom, right? The book argues wisdom is more than just knowing stuff. It's soft knowledge, built up from experience, judgment, even feelings, that sixth sense, things machines don't have yet. The honeybees come back here with their hereditary communal intellect. Their waggle dance isn't just data, it's shared wisdom about where the best nectar is passed down, built upon.
Yes, it's that collective experiential understanding. It's what helps us navigate true complexity where simple data isn't enough.
So how do we manage this flood of information, this infobesity? The book suggests we need to actively curate our intake, like creating a knowledge dashboard for portion control. A bit like the 5-a-day campaign for fruit and veg, but for information.
That's a great analogy. It's about consciously choosing a healthy mix. Not just doom-scrolling news, but maybe adding some history, some art, different perspectives, different mediums. And it involves applying William Faulkner's famous writing advice. Kill your darling.
Kill your darlings. How does that apply here?
It means being ruthless about what you don't need. Focus not just on what I put in, but also what I'm prepared to leave out.
Right.
Remember the cluttered NASA PowerPoint before the Columbia shuttle disaster? Too many darlings, too much non-essential information obscured the critical warnings. Curation is about simplifying, focusing, making information useful, not just abundant.
Letting go of the unnecessary. Okay. That leads us to the fifth side, networks. And the axiom is intriguing. Diverse networks matter more than networking. What's the difference? It emphasizes connection, which feels fundamental. Neuroscientist Matthew Lieberman says our brains have a permanent motor running for social stuff. We need connection.
We absolutely do. And the difference between networks and networking. Networking often feels transactional, like collecting contacts. Diverse networks are about genuine connection and collaboration across different groups, different types of expertise. The most powerful example in the book is the Thai cave rescue in 2018, saving those kids, the wild boars soccer team.
Incredible story.
Truly, it wasn't one organization. It was a human superorganism, a vast scale-free network of about 10,000 people from 20 different countries. They used everything from cutting-edge new tech to really basic old-fashioned caving hayphones. They combined knowledge, networks, and time, forming what the book calls the knot, this incredible, temporary, diverse collaboration focused on one single, clear goal. It shows what's possible when diverse connections mobilize.
That's amazing. So how does this apply to, say, workplace networks? We're often told to network. The book advises against thinking about it in purely transactional terms.
Yeah.
Ditch the awkward networking drinks.
Pretty much. The focus should shift to building genuine relationships. It's less about what can this person do for me and more about how can we connect, collaborate, maybe help each other.
Yeah.
That authenticity builds much stronger, more resilient, and ultimately simpler connections than just collecting business cards.
Quality over quantity again.
Exactly. Which brings us to the idea of the social six. Think of it as your personal kitchen cabinet, your inner circle. It's that small, trusted group of people, maybe colleagues, family, friends, mentors, that fits within our working memory limits. The people you can really count on.
Your core support system.
Right. We might encounter, 50,000 people in a lifetime. We can't possibly maintain deep connections with all of them. Identifying your social six is about prioritizing those few deep, meaningful relationships that provide clarity, support, and honest feedback, rather than getting lost in a sea of acquaintances. It simplifies your social world in a really powerful way.
Social six, I like that. Okay, we've arrived at the sixth and final side of the hexagon, time. The axiom here is powerful. Treat your time like your body. Because unlike the digital world that feels limitless, time is absolutely finite. 168 hours in the week, that's it. You can't make more.
You really can't. And a huge part of treating time well is mastering your schedule, losing control of your schedule. It
Yeah.
feels like chaos, doesn't it? Like someone else is dictating your life. And
Well,
there's this fascinating, quite old study from the 1970s in an elderly care home.
okay.
Residents who were given more control over their daily choices, even small things like choosing when to see a movie or being responsible for a plant, had significantly better health outcomes and even lower death rates than those who had everything decided for them.
Wow, just that sense of control made a difference.
A huge difference. And in the workplace context, think about Sweden's Svartedalen study. They trialed a 6-hour workday. Absenteeism was halved. It points towards flexibilism, finding work patterns that respect people's time and energy. Controlling your schedule isn't just about getting more done. It's fundamental to well-being and reducing that feeling of being constantly overwhelmed.
Taking back control of your own time makes sense. And finally, within time, we need to understand our body clocks, our circadian rhythm. This internal clock affects pretty much everything: productivity, mood, metabolism.
Everything.
Sarah Jane Blakemore's research on teenage brains is a great example. Their natural sleep cycles are shifted later, so forcing them into early school start times, it's often completely counterproductive because their brains just aren't wired for peak performance then.
Right, working against their biology.
Exactly. Or even something like timing medication. Blood pressure medicine is often more effective taken at night, aligning with the body's natural dip. The point is, one-time-fits-all approaches are just too simplistic. They ignore our complex individual rhythms. Adapting to your own body clock, respecting its cycles, is a key part of treating your time wisely. It unlocks simpler, more effective ways to live and work.
It's about working with your biology, not against it.
What an incredible journey that was through the simplicity principle and the hexagon action framework. From, finding clarity and purpose to valuing our true individuality and networks, resetting our minds, managing knowledge, and respecting our time. It feels like these ideas touch every part of life.
They really do. And if we connect this back to the bigger picture, I think the real beauty of this hexagon framework is how practical it can be. You don't need to suddenly fix everything at once. That would just be more complexity. Instead, maybe choose just one area where you feel that killer complexity creeping in. Is it related to clarity, individuality, reset, knowledge, networks, time? And then commit to applying just one small hexagon action step related to that area. Maybe for as little as 6 minutes, 6 hours, or 6 months. The time frame matters less than the focused intention.
Start small, but start somewhere. I like that. So as you go about your day, here's something to think about, a final provocative thought. What one piece of complexity in your life right now could potentially be simplified with just 6 minutes of focused attention using one of these hexagon action principles? Just 6 minutes to start. Embrace that simplicity and see how you can flourish.